Hi, my name is Scott
Hello.
Marker. Hello there. This is another episode of Treasure Valley NA Quick Tips. How it came to be was over 100 episodes ago. I run a franchise here. It's a network and action franchise. They're out of Houston, Texas. Through that, I have three groups of local business professionals and owners, and we get together and share ideas. And I meet lots of people that are experts in their field. And today is a perfect example of one of the ones that is probably one of the most important things companies need to do is bring the right team aboard. And we'll let Jamie explain that. Jamie, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jaime Redfern. I'm the business management director or business development director, rather, at Blue Sky Tax Advisory. And yeah, that's exactly what we do. We're a full stop shop when it comes to bookkeeping and taxes and everything in between.
Cool. So how do you get? I mean, me, I'm not that guy or lady, right? I don't like numbers and all that stuff. So what got you involved in accounting and bookkeeping?
Yeah, it's actually kind of a funny story. My dad had an accounting firm, and I don't know, my whole life, pretty much since we were little, I would always be under his desk. I had a calculator, one of the ones with the paper,
Sure.
and he would just let me, sit under his desk, and I would take receipts out of his garbage and add them up. And I thought it was really fun. I feel like this is a joy. I love it. I was playing. Um, and then about 2005, I had started doing bookkeeping and preparing taxes and things like that for my husband's business. And, he was a contractor, so he had, a lot of contractors asking him, like, well, who does your books? Who does your taxes? What's going on? And I accidentally started an accounting firm. So I called
Oh,
my dad and I was like, so I think I might have accidentally started a business.
wow.
And he laughed. He thought it was really funny. He's like, okay, well, here you go. So he kind of, just kind of helped me get on my feet, get some processes together. And that's where it started.
Wow. So then how did you come over to be with Blue Sky Tax Advisory?
Yeah. So my sister and I took over our dad's firm in 2009. And we ran our business for quite some time and decided we wanted to do something different. So we sold our business. She went off into the publication world. Her husband's a journalist, so she was did the paper with him. They had a regional paper, and I decided I wanted to go on the other side of the table. So I went to work as a tax auditor for the state of Idaho.
Oh,
So I was
wow.
an income tax auditor. Yeah, I totally went the wrong direction. No, I'm just kidding. It was the great direction, but it was great because I learned so much about what the different agencies are looking for and what are big red flags and how they interpret tax law. Tax law is black and white. It's very large, but it's very much up to interpretation.
Right.
So it was great to kind of get that other side of the spectrum. And from there, the one of the CPAs that purchased our business wanted me to come back to work for him. So he
Oh,
bribed me quite heavily. So I couldn't refuse. He gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. So I went back to work on the other side of the table, on the right side of the table, some would say. And did that for quite some time. Decided, okay, maybe I want to go back out on my own again. So in the middle of that, while I was trying to figure out, about going back on my own, I was like, okay, well, I need to do something while I'm building up my book of business. So I took a couple different positions as adjunct professors. Teaching accounting. So I worked at two different local universities. One was strictly online and one was in the classroom. That was really fun. I really enjoyed it. And then through that, got reconnected with other people in the industry, and it just kind of blew up from there. I went to work for an RIA firm, became a licensed wealth advisor, and was their tax specialist. So I helped them with their clients, making sure that moves that they were making in their portfolios weren't creating a huge tax burden or having an issue with their taxes. Um, and then that's when I met our CEO. So I met him. His name is P Suit. And a few years had gone by, and we're just kind of, going along. And we're like, you know what? We really need to build this. We need to break it out of the RIA, have our own thing and see what we can do with it. So we got together, brainstormed. I had an idea in my head and a vision in my head of what I really wanted a tax firm to look like. And P Suit was like, yeah, let's do it. And I said, okay. So December 2024. So we're very new as far as the company goes, but we have a ton of experience behind us. I've been in the industry for 20 plus years, 21 years now.
Wow.
Our lead CPA has been around for 30 plus years. We have EA, we have seasonal preparers, we have bookkeepers. So remember, I told you I went into partnership with my sister to take over.
Yeah.
She works with us now too. She's
Oh,
our
cool.
lead bookkeeping and payroll specialist. We have a whole team. One thing different about Blue Sky is we're a virtual firm. So I'm in the office with our lead CPA and myself, but our bookkeeping and payroll department is based in Montana. Our operations manager is in North Carolina. We've got what our EA, one of our new EAs, is based out of Florida. So we can pick and choose
Yeah.
the talent. So we're not just limited locally for our talent. We can go out and, we're nationwide. So our pool of talent is much larger. So we can really truly be choosy of making sure that we have the right people on our team. And then our CEO is actually based out of Seattle. So we're really spread out.
Wow.
We're from the East Coast to the West Coast.
No, that's cool though, because what you mentioned about talent is that sometimes getting the right fit might not be in your backyard. It could be across
Yeah.
the state line, so that's really good that you guys can do that. Um,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
here's some things. So, like, how do you make sure on your clients? Because the big thing is that April 15th is always the So, how do you make sure that people aren't surprised?
Yeah, so we believe that, April 15th should be a formality,
Okay.
not a surprise. It's just a date that
Yeah.
happens.
Okay.
And so instead of, looking back at the year and seeing what happened once a year, we take that approach of projecting forward all year long. So we're meeting with our clients throughout the year, and our clients know, months in advance of April what their tax picture is going to look like.
Yeah.
So they're not surprised April 15th with a huge bill. They know back in, fourth quarter when we've done our final projection what that's going to look like. So they're not surprised. And obviously our goal isn't just to file an accurate return, although that's very important, but we really want to eliminate any of that uncertainty
Yeah.
because
No,
it's
no, that's
stressful.
smart because that's again the old days of wait till you know the new year and
February.
and start getting everything together and like that. Is it just it's just not it's people talking to professionals like you, experts like you guys that 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 I hear over and over and over again that that those days are gone. And if you want to be the most efficient company, you got to be more proactive. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what does it look? So what? So so you have the tax. You guys are pretty much preparing for the tax. The April 15th the whole way. But what does it look like outside of that? I mean, like just from the day to day.
Yeah, for us, that is probably the time that our clients receive the most value because we're spending that time with them and we're engaged with them throughout the year. So during the summer and fall, before we get into the craziness
Yeah.
of having to prepare and get ready, we're spending time getting to know our clients. We're spending time researching different strategies that make sense for them. We're spending time adjusting strategies and going through the numbers, projecting out what the end of the year is going to look like, and again, eliminating those surprises. Um, but taxes really are a result of the decisions that you make along the way all year long, and we want to be there with our clients step by step through that year so that again they're prepared, they know what they're looking at when it comes time to file. And it
Yeah.
makes it easier on us too, to be honest. If we're jumping in February and we've got this massive, paper and reports, and we're trying to figure out, like, okay, what are they doing? What did they do? Why did
Yeah.
they do
Yeah.
that?
Exactly.
Right? We know in advance, and we've got that open line of communication with our clients and with their other professionals or other financial professionals so that we can all be aware of what moves to make, and they feel comfortable to pick up the phone and be like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm thinking about selling a building, or I'm thinking about buying a rental. What does that look like? Can you what do you suggest? What can we do? So it's that's in my opinion, that's where our clients receive the most value is outside of that deadline time.
Yeah, and then also what you talked about yesterday in our monthly meeting um, was that I think is just so important because people talk about it, but the fact that you guys are proactive, the theme here is you guys are really proactive, but you guys want to know who is your banker, who is
Hmm.
your financial advisor, right? We need to
Yep.
get them all, and then
Yep.
talk about that because you said there's a way you kind of connect that together.
Yeah, yeah. So the analogy I like to use is we want to put all of your financial professionals in the boat at the same time and have those open lines of communication. Because if we're in the boat at the same time and rowing in the same direction, we're going to be able to help you get to your goals. If we're and there's a lot of really great wealth advisors out there and estate attorneys out there and even bankers, and they definitely have the client's best interest in mind, but maybe they're not thinking about the tax implications of the
Right.
strategies that they're
Yep.
suggesting. And maybe, the wealth advisor has an idea that's going kind of against what the estate attorney does. What we do is we provide the platform that we can all get together and communicate together so that we're all on the same page. We know our clients' goals and we can move in that same direction.
Gina, I love that, and that is so important because there's just going to be, if you're so much more. Lessen the chances again rowing the same direction and doing something stupid because we're not being stupid but
They
if you're
just don't
communicating
know.
yeah because you didn't know but if they're communicating going nah and then you guys could talk to each other and figure it out but yeah I yeah I just I've heard over and over again but I love the way you guys do it because I hear it talked about but I think most of the time they don't do it. You know what I mean? And then the banker, financial, they're all doing their own stuff, which just it doesn't. Uh, it's not best for the customers because how can you be strategic and plan when you're not all
Mhm.
talking on the same team?
Right. And by providing that platform, we can eliminate a lot of that, the client having to play monkey in the middle and
Yeah,
going, okay, well, I got to go talk to my CPA and I got to go
yeah,
talk to my estate attorney or I need to go talk to my banker or my wealth advisor. And there's, things get lost in translation. They might not
yeah,
understand. They might get something wrong. And how we do it is it just eliminates that issue.
yeah. I love that. I love that. Um, so, um, what so going beyond the tax preparation, how can you guys actually reduce people's tax burdens?
Yeah. Um, Again, another thing that I feel like we're unique because we have that relationship with an RIA, we have access to that world.
Hey,
We have access
Hey,
to,
could you do me a
yeah,
favor? What was the
yeah,
acronym you used?
RIA,
Yeah, what's
Registered
that?
Investment Advisor Firm.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so
Oh, okay,
it's like
okay.
yeah. There's different firms out there. You can be, a broker dealer, you can be an RIA, different, they operate under two different set of rules in the
Okay.
SEC, and I could get into all of that, but that's boring. But essentially, because of those relationships that we had, having that strategic partnership with that original RIA that I was a part of, but then also having the strategic partnership with other broker dealers and other RIAs, we have the ability to not only be aware of these tax advantage strategies out there when it comes to investing, but also be aware of other opportunities like qualified opportunity zones and 1031
Oh,
exchanges that might not be just I'm selling a property and I'm getting into a property. A lot of the things I hear our clients saying is like, I don't want to be a landlord anymore. So what can I 1031 into? We have access to things that they can do differently. They could, 1031 into a multifamily or a DST or into oil and gas. There's so many different ways to skin the cat, for lack of a better term,
yeah,
but there's different opportunities. And just because they're a landlord and they want to sell their rental doesn't mean that they have to go buy the exact, another rental and continue
yeah.
that landlord. So we're really helping them transition and decide what's important to them.
Yeah, no,
It's nice.
I love the way that you guys are, so involved and consultative because, um, I mean, it's just like, um, because some of that stuff could have tax ramifications too, or depending
Absolutely.
what they do. So it's like always, you guys always be in the loop saying, hey, make sure you talk to us if you're going to be doing something like anything. Because
Right?
buying,
For
selling
sure.
property, that's something that can, really, we can really help you take the best advantage of. Or like you said, maybe you don't know what you don't know. That's why we come to people like you, because they might think, oh, well, I want to sell this one because I'm sick of this one, but I'm gonna have to buy a new one. But maybe I don't. Maybe then you can give them other options for
Yeah,
investment.
there's other options. Yeah. And that's just one part. The other thing that we do during the summer that I absolutely love is the tax strategy piece. So we're, going through all of the new codes, seeing where we can make changes, whether it
Oh,
be, we're looking at their entity structure and maybe an adjustment in the entity structure is going to be, favorable for their tax position. Maybe, there's a strategy that's available, that maybe wasn't available last year and that now is available this year. So we're constantly looking at different strategies that are in the tax code as well. So not just the one piece with the tax advantaged investments and things like that. We're looking at things in the tax code as well, like cost seg studies and R&D tax credits and the Augusta rule and all of these different little nuances inside the tax code that are constantly changing. We keep our finger on the pulse of that as well and guide our clients throughout the year. It's not just a one thing, right? It's we're guiding them
yep.
throughout the year, making sure that number one, the strategies are being implemented properly, and that we're keeping our finger on the pulse and making sure that they're in a good position.
Yeah, because we had that big, beautiful bill come out. So, people need to know, how's that going to impact my business? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And can
Yeah,
I take advantage of something new, or something I was taking advantage of, now I can't take advantage of it, so is there something else I can do? So yeah, just
exactly.
again, it just reinforces that people really need to get themselves, um, over the years running my network and action groups. I talk to bankers and, accountants and, bookkeepers and stuff. And the thing that I find over and over again is that businesses, are leaving large amounts of money on the table because they don't engage, or maybe they are engaged, but they have somebody that isn't proactive, like you guys, and the team you have, because it's just like, for example, I talked to a company here locally, and I follow him on Facebook and I know him and stuff, and he's gone from being a general contractor to kind of niching down into some trades, and he has a team of, I think, 7 or 8 now, and he says, I don't work. He goes, I run the company. And I said, so what's the biggest key you think to your success? Now, I'm sure there's a million, but I said, if you had to like pick one, he'd say, when my tax professional told me I needed to do job costing and know exactly what I was doing. He said, for years I got sloppy, and they were just on me. He said, nope. That's when I started knowing where the money was at. And so
Yeah.
there's a good example of where, and then I've heard general contractors before, which I've referred out in the years past, saying, how do I, like a one man show, how do I have so much money in my bank account at the first of the month, and end of the month there's no money in it. Well, that tells me right away they're not working with someone like you guys, because you should know where your money's going.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And we do, like I said, we do offer the bookkeeping, but we also offer fractional CFO
Oh,
services as well. So if they want us to do, a deep dive and do budgeting and forecasting, job costing, all of that, we do profitability coaching. So there's a lot that we can offer, and it's all in conjunction with, the tax advantages and just in general, knowing where your money is going. Like you said, it's so
yeah.
important to be able to make those decisions throughout the year. And if you just don't know, you don't know,
And,
So,
I've heard this again from bankers, especially one of the ones that might have been in my group since the beginning, is he says he can't believe how companies that are brand new, up to 10, 20 years, and they can't get a loan because their books are a mess.
oh yeah, we
Yeah.
see that. We clean up a lot of messes.
So real quick on that. So what's one of the biggest messes you guys have had that you've been successful in helping out?
Oh gosh. I would say the biggest mess is one that we're just getting into.
Oh,
New clients, and they have a multi-million-dollar business. in the insurance industry, right? And the insurance company that they're affiliated with, they have their own kind of bookkeeping software that that tracks like their premiums and things like that. So it tracks their income, some of the expenses, but not all the expenses. And then they have a separate set of books, which is their QuickBooks, that tracks like their bank records and things like that. And they were such a mess.
Wow.
Nothing matched. They were behind by over a year in the QuickBooks side of things. So I don't even know how they filed their taxes last year, to be honest, because I'm looking at it going, holy moly. And it took, yeah, it took, I mean, it's taken, we're in the middle of it right now, but I mean, it has taken um, our full bookkeeping team and our lead CPA to really get in there and dissect and work together as a team and figure out like, okay, what are they trying to do? What are they doing? And how can we help them? And how can we make it more simple? How can we make it um, easier for them to read too, because there was categories all over the place.
Mm.
Things were posted in the wrong spots. Their balance sheet was a complete mess. Might as well not have had one. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Um, assets and liabilities are all over the board. We're just like, oh, okay. And it's kind of a little scary when you think about it, because this is a multi-million-dollar company. We're talking, eight figures. And we're like, how does this happen? So we're really excited that they chose to come on board with us because we're getting them straightened out. So that was probably the biggest
yeah.
mess that I've seen. Um, Another one where we had huge success was a company out of Minnesota. They're a plumbing company. They came on one of our fractional CFO packages, and it was a similar situation. Their QuickBooks was such a mess. They had a system that they
Mhm.
used for their booking and their bidding their jobs and kind of dispatch and all of that kind of stuff. And it was supposed to help them with their AR and their AP as well, help them with job costing. But again, and it was supposed to connect with QuickBooks. Not so much. So we actually, and this one took us quite a while, probably 6 months to
Wow.
come up with a system to still let them utilize because they needed that platform. They needed to be able to use their dispatching software and all of the things that they were doing for their job costing, for timing, and all of that. Um, and make sure that whatever it was putting into QuickBooks was correct.
Yeah.
And we spent time on their system. I don't want to say the name because I don't want
Yeah,
to,
no,
you know what
yeah,
I
don't say the name. Yeah, yeah.
Right. But so we've spent a lot of time in that dispatching software. We spent a lot of time in QuickBooks, just making sure that everything was mapped correctly. And how can we avoid these duplicates? How can we avoid things failing in the transfer? Because a lot of times things would just fail. It would say it transferred, but it didn't. And their internal bookkeeper and our bookkeeping team came up with a process that now it's seamless. So now every single month we're getting accurate profit and loss and job costing every single month. They're getting their information. And also with them, because they're a fractional CFO company, it took that along for us to be able to get clean books so that we could do some of these forecastings and budgeting for them as well. So that one I would say is our biggest success story. It took a little while. I'll be honest, it took a little while, but they're, again, there's, 7+ figure business as well. So they have a lot going on. And I think 12 to 15 employees. I think they've got 9 journeymen and out there doing the
Wow.
plumbing, and then a handful of office staff. So
Well,
that was a good one.
yeah, just like I said, the theme here is it goes to show you that when you first open up, you need to get yourself a good a good team like you guys at
Mhm.
Blue Sky Tax Advisory, because as you go along, you get busy and things are gonna get they get can get escalate more and more, get to where it's a mess. And if they would have started off the right way, they I guarantee they would have made a lot more money.
Oh, for
And then they
sure,
could have
for
invested
sure.
and bought more trucks or something. But yeah, again, that's
Yeah.
why I love talking to people like you, is that it's just I hear it over and over again that companies just get busy doing what they do and forget that the importance of their bookkeeping, tax strategies, all that stuff, and how it can, not make the company not run better, but make you more money
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
and not have to spend more money on taxes because you have good tax strategy.
Right,
So
right,
what?
exactly. And that's part of it too.
Yeah. So what's we'll make it go backwards here. Is like what's not a good client for you guys? Because you guys
I
have
love it.
taken on some big challenges. I mean,
Yeah,
some
we
people wouldn't have
have.
taken those on.
Yeah, no kidding. No, just kidding. So somebody that would not be a good fit for us would be somebody who is just dead set, like we just want to drop off our stuff, get our taxes done, and just want that, you know,
Oh,
tax mill
just a tax
type.
preparation. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Here's my
they're
box of receipts at the end of the year. Do my taxes.
yeah, yeah, that's not a good fit for us.
Okay.
So a client that would be a good fit for us is somebody who, you know, wants to be engaged with us all year round, who is willing to work with us. We can only do so much, right? We need,
Yeah.
our business owners or our clients, and we're not just business owner focused. We do have a lot of other high net worth clients, tech executives, and um, doctors. We have a lot of doctors who might work at a hospital and get that high W-2, but they also don't have that 1099 associated with it because they're not part of the business or they're not a partner in the clinic or hospital. They're
Mhm.
just they just make a lot of money on a
Right.
W-2 and they're like, what do I do? um, and so that we can we definitely can help those people. And like with the tax executives, with the RSUs that they get and the stock options and things like that, that can really create some complexities when it comes to their tax situation. So just having them be clients of us and then working with us throughout the year, when those options come up and they can say, should I exercise my option or not? And we can kind of take a bit of, look at it from a tax perspective and say, obviously, talk to your financial advisor too, right? This is
Right.
where this collaboration comes in because we don't
Right.
want them to execute on a price that's not a good price, right?
Right. Right.
But so when those things come up, we just had a meeting with one of our clients last yesterday, actually, with that same scenario. She's like, my window's open. I've got a month to make a decision. What do you think? We had the wealth advisor on the Teams call with us. They're based out of California. The client and the advisor are both in California, and we're here in Idaho. And it was just a really great conversation because the advisor understands the tax side of things and knows where their tax position is because he's not just looking at that one piece. And then we're able to look at, okay, if they do this, what's this going to impact on their tax planning side? So it was a
Right.
great conversation. And so I would say the people that work with us the best are going to be people who see the value in what we do, who want to stay engaged with us throughout the year. You'd be surprised. You would literally be surprised. We had a client tell us, stop, stop contacting me. Leave me alone. And it's not like we're obnoxious, right?
Right.
But,
Right.
we want to make sure that we're scheduling regular meetings with
Right.
them. I mean, at least quarterly if they're a larger business.
Right.
The one CFO client that I was speaking of, I meet with them on a weekly basis.
Oh wow.
Some of them we meet with monthly. It just really depends on what their needs are.
Right.
And he was really he was really funny. And I was like, I'm not so sure that you're the right fit for us if you don't, because we can't do our job properly and help you in that way if you're not willing to communicate with us. And I don't want to be charging somebody for something that they're not getting. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
like the value really isn't there unless the client engages. And there's so many clients out there that are so willing to engage. Um, and those are the people we really want.
Yeah. So hey, this has been great. So if someone wanted to get a hold of you, what would be the best way for them to get a hold of you?
You can call our office line, which is the 208-433-1040 number. I'm extension one. It doesn't have my name on it. It just says something like, are you a new client or do you want to be a new client? I can't remember what our tree says, but that's my extension. Also, email is great. And if you have anybody that you want to refer to, you can always send an email and CC me, things like that.
Okay.
So yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, and
pretty
I'll
much.
have all that information. Like, I have all that information in the show notes for people too to make it easy. So, hey, this has been great,
Perfect.
Jamie. I mean, people, the thing I kind of knew but didn't really know. My biggest takeaway was is that of course you're here in the Treasure Valley, but you can help anybody in the United
Mhm.
States. Yeah,
Yep.
I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
I want to do a heat map. I was telling my CEO, I'm like, I want to
Oh,
get a map of the United States and just put, pinpoints on where all of our clients are because I'm pretty sure that outside of a few eastern states, we're in probably 35 states that we have clients
wow.
in. So we are really truly, nationwide and we want to, I think it'd be cool. I don't know what he's like, and I don't know. But I think it'd be really fun to see where our clients are because we have, clients in Hawaii, we have clients in
Yeah.
Alaska and all over. So,
Well, you know me, I love Chat GPT, or an LM. I'm sure you could dump all your customers in there and then say, make me a
oh
heat map,
yeah,
and I bet you do an image,
yeah.
and that'd be cool. And then as you
Yeah,
grow, keep
I think that'd
going.
be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna pin it up on my wall and just
Yeah. Yeah.
every time
Cool.
we get a new location, put in another red pin.
Awesome. Hey, well, this has been great. Um, this has been another episode of Treasure Valley NIA Quick Tips, and I hope the listeners, I'm sure listeners get something out of this. Until next time, thank everybody.
Thank you.